Hello, welcome to our humble podcast. But my name is Jen Carmiel. I am a watercolor artist and illustrator. I started the Small Joys Club about a year ago, September of 2024, which for me is the foundation of my business because it holds a lot of messaging about looking for the small joys in life. And I really let that carry my visual expression as well. So everything really comes back to the idea of looking for the small joys in life. I currently work a part-time admin job as I had that when I started building my art business. And within the past few months, I've started to see a little bit more success both on YouTube, at art markets, in-person events. I've gotten a couple artist grants since then too. So yeah, my art career feels really, really good for me right now. Mostly my practice centers around watercolor paintings, and I'm also really enjoying content creation right now too.
Well, I want to dig into all of that because there is so much there. But I think just to start things off, can you tell us a little bit about the Small Joys Club and what all different lines does that entail? Because I feel like there's a lot of different aspects to it.
Oh, sure, for sure. So, my Small Joys Club is a monthly membership where people can subscribe to receive an art print and a letter in their mailbox every single month. So, I have two tiers right now. I'm looking to introduce a third, but that's still like cooking in the brain. So, I don't know
Yeah.
quite what the third one will be yet. But for right now, there's just two. It's either a short letter or a long letter. And so, the short letter is essentially like a simplified version of the full letter that I give out. And the full letter includes journal prompts and things. It includes journal prompts and exercises about how to enjoy your life more. And then every month I have my members vote on which art print they'd like to receive as well.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you work to grow your career. I mean, I think I want to get into like what's working well for you now, but I mean, how did you even get to where you are now? Like, what has worked from a marketing standpoint for you?
So I always like to say I built my art career from art markets because I feel like art markets are a very quick way to be able to validate your product with an audience. Whenever you're on social media, I feel like you lose so much information about what someone enjoys about your artwork, even if they're not willing to purchase it yet. You lose that information. So at art markets, when I first started kind of establishing my style in watercolor painting, I was a oil painter and an acrylic painter prior to that, and I did a completely different thing.
Mhm.
So I've been an artist all my life. I wanted to be like a real, like I wanted to feel like I was a real working artist. So I needed to find a way to like monetize that.
Right.
So when I started art markets, I had my artwork all over the place. Like I did not have like a cohesive style or messaging that I was presenting. And every single week at art markets, I kind of was able to notice what people look at, what they comment on, and what they purchase. So even if people were not buying my art yet, if they even looked at it, I would go home and I would make more of it. I let the community that I currently live in like kind of guide what I made, and that's how I kind of validated all of these little things. And the Small Joys Club just happened to be something that I thought would be cute one day. I
Yeah.
remembered I was talking in a therapy session actually, and I was just talking about how I hate how people are trying to make it out to be like you need some big, perfect life, when in reality, you just need a couple small things to feel happy. And when I was talking about that, I just felt like very lit up and aligned. And then I decided to add it to my website. And then my best friend bought it. And I was like, shoot, now I have to actually do this. And I had just my best friend in Small Joys Club for 6 months. And I had released a YouTube video about my income streams. And one of my sisters said, "Oh, I didn't realize you had a membership." I was like, "Oh, wait, you're right. I'm not talking about this, am I?" So I started talking about it more. And so essentially, all these different tiers of my business, art markets, my membership, my YouTube, started kind of working together in a system to start building an audience, nurturing it, and so that I can turn not only new people into customers, but those current customers into repeating customers.
Yeah, and can you walk me through kind of that channel of the you have the three different primarily the three different channels and how does a customer move from one to the next?
Exactly. So the most accessible way, if I'm talking to like brand new people who are brand new to their art business, art markets is number one. So anyone who would come to my art market booth, I have a QR code for people to join my email list. Initially, I just said, "Hey, join if you would like to." Sometimes I would get signups, but not so many. And then what I started doing is when people would buy my work, I would say, "By the way, I have a free framing guide that I can email you. Do you want to receive it?" And usually they'd be like, "Yeah, sure." So then
Yeah.
I made like a Canva PDF document, how to frame your artwork. And then I started emailing that to people who bought my work at art markets. That got them into my audience, that I emailed them maybe once a month, like not too often, but just people that I can reach out to at any time should they want to collect from me in the future. So email list was important, and then also Instagram's important too. I know the biggest thing that helped me grow my Small Joys Club was posting on my Instagram story my poll to vote. And anyone who voted on my poll, if they were not in the Small Joys Club, I sent them a DM and I said, "Hey, I noticed you voted. Do you want to get your art print this month?" And so, like, it's essentially like being able to capture the most interested people who already said yes to the poll. So now it's about trying to convert them into actually joining. And sometimes they would say yes. Sometimes I would say a lot of times they left me on red like 60 to 70% of the time. So just don't take it personally.
Yeah.
But every month I would get like 1 to 3 people who would say yes. And like over time it just added up. So
Well, also such a smart strategy. I mean, it sounds obvious when you say it, but I don't think a lot of people think about the people that are interacting with your polls and things like that. It's your warmest audience. One, they're interacting with you, so they resonate with you, but then also this poll specifically is like vote on the print. And if they vote on
mhm.
it, oh,
They
that's
already want it.
amazing. So I think what you're doing here is really smart. So you started with art markets. Let's start there with artists who are interested in diving into the art market route. What advice do you have? What have you learned? What works, what doesn't? Like, can you kind of, I don't know, unlock the the secrets to the art market world that you've learned?
So I sell art prints at art market. So this advice will be very helpful for people who paint, have two-dimensional work, and sell art prints. So my advice would be primarily to not put too much pressure on yourself and just show up. Like
Mhm.
I showed up to my first art market and it was the strangest setup. Things were everywhere. Nothing made sense. I made
Mhm.
maybe 1 to 3 sales. It's
Yeah.
okay if things don't work out. Getting comfortable putting yourself out there is number one. So I never want anyone who's new to this to go to an art market, make a $0 sale day and say, well, I just can't make it. People aren't interested. Like, you've got to erase that from your memory. If you want to
Yeah.
make it in this industry, rejection can't mean anything to you. You have to want it more than anything. So that's the most important thing. I remember the very first art market I went to, like someone came up to my booth and they were all like, I said something like, "Oh, hey, let me know if you have questions." And they're like, "I'm still trying to figure out what this is." So it's okay if
Yeah.
you show up and things aren't perfect. Every single art market you go to, I would say go home with a lesson. So whether that's no one bought artwork, but they all commented on one or looked at one, try to look at where their eyes looking at your booth because usually there will be 1 or 2 paintings that you have, prints that you have. Oh, that's another thing, have prints.
Uh-huh.
Because you need to be able to appeal to people with a smaller budget, a smaller commitment. But you want to be able to notice what people are interested in and make more of what they're interested in. That's how you create a style that is validated with your market. Because it's one thing to make art that you like, it's another thing to make art that you like and they like. So, yeah.
And I think that's what I love about any type of in-person event is you get live feedback, obviously, but it feels very authentic, true feedback. Whereas a lot of the times you're not even really getting in front of the people you need to be when you're first starting out, at least on social media. So you're not getting that immediate, quick feedback that you need. Like at an art show, I did a ton of art shows when I was first starting for the same reason, because you're getting live feedback of like, wow, everyone looked at this, painting of a dog. I should do more of those. It's like it's just so obvious, but if you're not doing in-person events, you really don't get that feedback, or it takes much, much longer, or it's skewed because it's on social media.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say also with social media, in my opinion, like it held me back a lot. Like it made me feel like I was always looking for like external validation. And
Right.
none of those things matter at all, at all. And the thing with social media is you can be genuinely connecting with people, but you might not know because they're not in front of you.
Right.
Whenever I had my pop-up shop last month, I had a couple people come in. I always ask them, "Hey, how'd you hear about us?" And a couple people did say Instagram, but I had been feeling so bad about my Instagram that month, I literally deleted the app. So
Love it.
I was actually reaching the people I needed to reach. They were connecting. They actually did the thing I wanted them to do. They went to my shop. But like, if you put so much energy into like, that's why I'm just like, if social media is good, that's great. But I say build your art business in person, build it in real life, because you can actually see your efforts in a real way that way.
Exactly. Well, how, with that in mind, like, how do you think about social media now?
Yeah.
Maybe talk about your thoughts on social media and then maybe your thoughts on email too, because I know you've touched
Yeah.
on
So in my head, YouTube is even separate from social media. YouTube is more like
that.
a search engine than anything else. So for social media, I mostly am talking about Instagram, a little bit of TikTok. I don't do a ton of it, but Instagram is my biggest thing because before I even wanted to make this into a huge thing that became my career, Like I was posting on Instagram every single day. So I have been an Instagram girly forever.
Mhm.
But when it comes to Instagram, how I view it today, I think it's really hard for artists to make a living on Instagram the way that they used to be able to. I used to get really, really good feedback that made me feel like my efforts were worth it back then, and I don't feel like that anymore. So, what I use Instagram for is sort of an area for it's I consider it an open inbox. Like for anyone to reach out to me, this is a really easy way for them to one, see I'm still making work. You go to the most recent post posted 3 days ago. She's an active working artist. That's the most important thing. Demonstrating I'm still doing it. Hey, so and so told me about you. They gave me your Instagram. Can you make me a pet portrait? Stories are the most important thing. DMs are the most important thing, but I am giving up on the algorithm game. I think everyone should. I think that
I
you should
agree.
get your best leads in person, bring them to your Instagram to like sit there and kind of be nurtured, but don't put too much pressure on going viral because that's just not a thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's really the needle in the haystack. And so I know the few artists that have, but I wouldn't say that's advice for people to chase that. Instead, I generally say what you say. It's almost like your business card. It shows people you're still
Yeah,
doing
I
it. Because there's been a
remember.
lot of times I go to people's page and it's like their last post was a year ago. And I was like, oh, they must not be painting anymore. Or like they're taking a break.
Exactly.
And so it's like
Yeah.
good to be somewhat relevant on there, but not put too much pressure on it.
Yeah, I remember I had booked a few coaching calls with you, like, I don't even remember how long ago, a couple months ago.
Yeah, it was a while.
For
Time flies.
yeah, very a while ago. And I remember that when you said that to me, you said that your Instagram is a business card. That I feel like that changed the game for me. I was like, you know what, you're right. I need to stop fiddling around
Yeah.
with my dumb Instagram and feeling bad about myself. Like just treat it as like something that just exists to tell people you're still active. So that made everything feel so much better for me.
Well, I'm glad. And it sounds like I mean, you were already doing a little bit of YouTube, but you've really pivoted a lot of efforts into YouTube. I think you've recently been monetized. Can you talk about, before we even get into that, like how are you using YouTube? How can artists use YouTube? You mentioned it being a search engine.
Okay, so YouTube. Oh my gosh, where do I start? I have fallen in love with YouTube in the last couple months because I have never gotten paid to just post fun videos before, and I'm starting to get paid for it. Isn't that so
Huh.
cool? Like I've been posting Instagram Reels for free for my entire life, and now I can post the same thing on YouTube and get money for it. It's so cool. And I'm just like kind of like blown away by how cool this is. I love it. When it comes to opportunities for artists on YouTube, I think that the first thing you should, if you're looking to get into YouTube, first of all, you have to know yourself. You have to know if one, you're comfortable in front of a camera, and it's okay if you're not yet. But like, if you have that urge inside you, like, I might want to, I say just go for it. Consider your future self comfortable and have a fun time learning to meet her, you know? Another thing with YouTube is it takes a lot of time to edit the videos. It'll take like 6 to 8 hours, like on a short video, like on something that's easy to edit. So you have to be willing to make that time commitment too. So for me, I'm the type of person that can really lock in and like I enjoy really methodical stuff. A lot of those skills are kind of transferable to editing videos. If
Mhm.
you don't want to spend like more than 12 hours a week editing a video every single week, like that's something to consider. Always start with shorter videos and then work your way up. My first couple videos were like 1 to 3 minutes, and then like 3 to 5 minutes, and then like 3 to 10. So don't put too much pressure. Overall thing, remove the pressure. Just have fun. And where you have fun, that also gets results. That's where you go harder at. I noticed about myself that I really enjoyed making videos. So it's just something I did for fun. I said, if it happens, it happens. But for now, I'm just going to practice showing up. I think that one of the greatest things about YouTube is it allows a very personal connection that short form does not offer. So for people that I meet at art markets who are on my email list, I can put a YouTube video at the bottom. So even if you're not monetized, they can watch you paint. They can hang out with you. They can get to know you a little bit better.
Right.
So to treat YouTube, to treat content as connecting further with people you already know, with your current audience, because it's cool if new audience comes your way, but I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself to get there yet, at least.
I'm a newer YouTube. I feel like I had my YouTube phase and then I got busy and now I'm like kind of coming back into it and you do come up like naturally on my feed and now I
Awesome.
subscribe. So you come up anyways. But so that's good. We love that for you. But I find it so interesting for all the reasons you said. I think it's the same reason people listen to podcasts. I think it's the same reason people even care like to watch a longer TikTok or a longer reel. Not that they're that long, but it is like that connection factor. And it's different, obviously, the type of content on each, but I think people hear this and they're like, "Oh my God, another platform I need to be on." But I actually think what I'm hearing from you is no, pick your platform that you're good at. Like if you like quick, short form, trendy, like you've got the reels, you've got the TikToks, but if that's not your thing, you have all these other platforms. And like I would say I didn't start a podcast to monetize it. Like you said, you liked creating YouTubes. You didn't necessarily seek it out to monetize. It was another channel. And I think that's how you can think about these things, and then they can turn into whatever you want to turn them into.
I think you're going to go the furthest in your business where you feel the most interested. So it's never a good motivator to say, I want to get to the end result. You should just ask yourself what you feel naturally inclined to do and spend your time there.
Well, can you share a little bit just for, I'm sure the audience is interested, what are you sharing on YouTube?
So the main thing that I started doing, what really started taking off for me was like artist advice, like me sharing my own life and what works for me online. I essentially posted like pretty much every week for about a year, and I made it just a goal to finish a video. There were times when I made a video and I hated it and I just posted it because I need to post once a week. Like I just need to practice editing, and that's what I considered it, is just practice editing videos and completing them. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Another thing with editing videos is whenever you do get there, I always recommend only spending time editing the first 30 seconds because everyone's going to watch 30 seconds and then see what else is out there. So when you're
I
getting
love that.
started, don't spend your time at minute 10, minute 15 trying to make it look perfect. Only make the beginning look nice and then the rest can be whatever you want. Anyway, so content that I'm making. But I had one video that blew up unexpectedly, and it was people want to buy your art, they just don't know it yet. And it was essentially me sharing what works for me at art markets. I was at an art market one day and I saw this girl who was very new to art markets. She was a painter and she looked very, very sad and very, very down. So I went over to her and I talked to her because I could tell, like, whenever artists are at art markets, sometimes it's easy to feel like, oh, no one wants my work. I'm used to art markets and it was a slow market. I'm used to, just not having sales sometimes. So I chatted with her for a little bit, and she was just out of high school, and she said something that like stuck with me. She said, people don't want to buy art, they just want to look at it. And she said it with like conviction.
Yeah.
It was like,
I've had that
oh,
feeling at a market before, so I get where this girl's coming from.
I know, and it hurt my heart to hear that. Like I talked to her in the moment there, like what some of my thoughts were. But even after that day, like that comment stuck with me and I kept thinking about it. So I made a video about it. And I remember I scripted it out. I wrote my little thoughts out and then I filmed it for an hour. And then I went to edit it and then I turned the camera back on and I imagined her sitting behind the camera and I talked to her, like just to her. And that's the video that ended up blowing up. So anytime you're looking to connect with people, my biggest tip is to imagine whoever you want to talk to on the other side of the camera, because there's going to be this weird thing that happens when you start filming that is going to be like you trying to perform, and that's never going to be what connects. So that's just sort of what happened. And when that video took off, I started to make more in the same style. And then weirdly enough, last week I had thoughts on a Taylor Swift album that I put out, and it got like 20,000 views in one day.
I'm like, I haven't caught up on you.
I know. I was so shooketh because most of my videos like teeter around like 1,000 to 5,000 views right now. Some of them will be like under like 3 to 500, and that one video that blew up has like 45,000. So to have one video blow up to 20,000 views in one day, I was like, maybe I should do more commentary. So all of this is about like trying to see what people are interested in, and if you also like doing it, go in that direction.
Are you an avid consumer of YouTube, would you say? So is
Oh,
that kind of what sparked
absolutely.
all of this?
Oh, for sure. I am always on YouTube every single day. And I think that is something that's really important, that if you're choosing a certain platform, it should naturally be something that you also like to consume. And even if you don't naturally consume it, maybe just spend some time on it and figure out what makes you watch videos. Because for me, I like to put on videos in the background while I'm playing video games or in the background while I'm doing a chore. I like
Mhm.
to listen, and sometimes my favorite content people are people that I don't even care what they say. I just want to hear the sound of their voice. So that became something that guided me making my videos, is I want to make sure that when you listen to it, it's something that you can put on in the background. And I also want to talk in somewhat not like a hey guys, like over the top voice, but just like something that's soothing and feels like a friend.
Yes. No, and I can hear that even in the way you're talking to me right now. But it's so interesting because I think you're an avid user of the platform, so you know how the platform wants to be used. And I think that's the disconnect with most artists attempting to be on a platform. I keep coming back to this example just because it's the one I understand, but like I listen to so many podcasts. So I knew what I wanted in a podcast. Or like even sometimes on social media, I like when I'm in a good phase, I'll save some like reels that other people make and then I can like have fun making reels. But if there's a time when I'm like not very on my phone, I'm not making content and that's okay. It's like you lean into what you know and it's like why do we fight against that? Because I'm sure a lot of people are listening, they're like, wow, YouTube sounds amazing. And it's like,
Oh
okay, well
yeah.
if you guys aren't on the platform, it's not going
Yeah,
to be
for
an overnight
sure.
success. And you let's talk about that. You've worked at it for a long time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was on YouTube. So I tried to do YouTube when I was in college. So if you scroll all the way down, you're gonna see the cringiest videos you've ever seen of me sitting on the floor in my living room being like, let's talk about art history because I was really into art history.
I love it.
I think it's really interesting because when I look at those videos, I can tell the natural inclination that I had to eventually make it in YouTube too. Because I remember there's this one thing like I tried to say some sort of intro and it didn't quite work, and there was a black screen instead of where my name goes. But you could see the instinct. Like, I think something should go here. So take a black screen. So for me, I first tried in college. I found it really exhausting to edit videos. That's one thing you'll have to get used to. You build stamina as you go. Something that people might feel when they're starting is, oh, this is so hard. It's going to feel so hard forever. But you get used to it. You get used to your rhythm, you get used to your flow, and eventually you just get faster at editing. In the beginning, it's going to be very long because you're learning all of these different things that you're trying to do. You're going to do a lot more learning in the beginning until it becomes autopilot. And now I can edit videos somewhat quickly. When I quit my job is when I relaunched my YouTube. And I started with like a day in my life kind of videos. I would do voiceovers and like say, let's go to the art museum together. It was just like, come enjoy my life with me kind of thing. The most low effort videos I would make back then is like me just drawing and a voiceover of me drawing. I think that you should probably go through YouTube and say what kind of videos are there if I was going to categorize them and try a couple different styles. Because I know for me, I don't enjoy doing vlogs anymore. I don't enjoy editing them. It's a lot of work to edit together like concepts like that. Like, oh, let's go get ready, let's go do this, let's go do that. And then to make it a interesting story to follow. Making it interesting is the hard part. Make
Right.
it something that someone starts watching, they're like, now they want to keep watching it. So for me, I landed on a certain style of video editing where it's like, I just like to talk to the camera like it's my friend and they're just learning about my life. And like, I'm giving some advice that I learned last week that I found helpful. It's not like I have all the answers, but I learn things. So I share with you when I learn them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's obviously resonating with your audience. Last question for now on YouTube. When did you start to see it? I don't know if take off's the right word, but like when did you start seeing results? Because it sounded like it initially was something very much for you, and now it's something that is still for you, but also, you're seeing traction from it.
Oh
And that
yeah,
doesn't
for
have to be
sure.
when it was monetized, but maybe when you're like, oh, this is really like a great marketing platform, or it can be when it started to get monetized. When did you start to kind of feel like, oh, there's something here?
So I would say there's two moments. The first one is when I think I was editing a video about my time in art school or something like that. And after I edited it, I was like, I like this. Like I saw the end result and I was like, I like this video a lot and I like making it. I liked it. Like this is it. I want to do this. And
Yeah.
so that's when I started making it like, okay, every week I think I can do this. No one's watching yet, but I think I have what it takes to eventually get there. And so I just decided to trust that instinct. Like, I don't know if it'll happen, but like, might as well try. And so it probably took maybe 6 months until that point of I think I can do this. And then after those 6 months, it took probably another 6 months to get my first video that kind of blew up. And it's funny because I posted that video and it was probably 4 or 5 months after I had posted it that it got tractions and I was kind of confused. I remember feeling really, really intimidated like for the next couple days. I was like, wait a
Yeah.
second. People are actually watching and listening. And I would get emails from random people I've never met saying that I inspired them. I'm just a girl in the corner of our apartment. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't feel worth all of this attention. And people would like find my Instagram. Like they'd say, hey, I came from your YouTube. Like your stuff really inspired me. I'd be like, you're one watching me, but two looking at where else I am. I was like shooketh. I had a few days where I was like, can I do this? Because I was so shooketh. But I adjusted after a couple days and then I started posting on a schedule, on a weekly schedule and prioritizing it because now I was getting money from it. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Like cool, crazy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really amazing to hear. And I think something that's interesting too, because it's an SEO platform, I'm sure a lot of people have that type of video where you actually get hit later because of SEO when people start to find it. Because I'll put, and I by no means know how to use YouTube, but I'll put all of the podcast videos on YouTube as well, just because some people like to watch them versus some people
Yeah.
don't. And even then, sometimes the video will catch traction a couple weeks later. It'll have like 2 views the day of, but then a bunch later.
Mhm.
And I'm like, now that you're saying that, I guess that actually makes sense from like an SEO standpoint.
Exactly. And YouTube is awesome compared to other social media platforms because you can continue to watch them on, you're never going to
Right.
see a 5-year-old video come across your Instagram feed, but you will see a 5-year-old video come across your YouTube feed. So it's not wasted effort the way that Instagram is wasted effort.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Well, I want to switch gears a little bit because you have received some artist grants recently. Can you talk about that, how that came to be, what that entailed, and kind of how it's allowing you to really springboard your business forward?
Oh, for sure. So I got 2 artist grants recently. The first one is called Made with Cola Love, and the second is a micro grant from the Parks and Recreation Department. Essentially, I found the first grant through a friend, someone that I met in an art market. Art markets, guys, art markets, I'm telling you, not only for customers, not only for sales, but for meeting other artists who know things. I met a friend. She said, I just applied to this grant. Here you go. You should apply too. I did not think anything of it when I applied. I said, I don't even quite know what this is. I saw their website, but I was just like, I don't know. That's me and my whole life is I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm going to just
Right.
try. So I applied, and then a couple months later, I got an email saying that I had been accepted. And I was just like, whoa, what? No, not that I'd been accepted, that I had been scheduled for an interview. And I was like, ooh, what interview? So then I had to pick an interview date. I showed up in person to the interview, and something important for these grants is they're both local to where I am. So if anyone's looking for grants, make sure you look to where you are locally. Type in your city and state or wherever you are in the world locally and look for grants because that is going to be way less competitive than trying to go for like some huge dollar grant for that's like international or nationwide. You want to try to go for whatever has the least competition. So with that said, I showed up to the Made with Cola Love interview and it was a really robust grant. I didn't expect it to be such a huge program. But what it was is essentially they have a bunch of entrepreneurs that they sponsor. They give you $2,000 and they sponsor a space for you. So they find the pop-up space for you. You stay there for a month, sell your goods, do whatever you got to do there. And then they give you $1,000 at the end of the grant for sustainability. It was the coolest thing I think I've ever done. I know I met the coolest entrepreneurs that way because there another thing that's very cool about that grant is it was like kind of creative entrepreneurs, but I was the only painter there. So there were other really interesting like businesses that I never would have thought of. Like there was someone who sold plants, and a huge part of his business is having contracts with businesses to go and water their plants. And I'm like, it's a simple business idea, but I never even would have like considered. So having that kind of connection to be able to like it kind of opened my world a little bit because whenever you work corporate jobs, you kind of like get fed the end result. Like you show up to work, you get a paycheck, you go home. And you think that the world is that narrow and that if you're going to do anything else, it's going to be really hard, kind of thing. Watching all these other people with their very creative businesses was very inspiring. It helped me remember that there's more in the world than you can ever imagine. And that is one of the biggest takeaways from that grant, is just being able to see all the cool people.
Well, kind of thinking about what you've seen and what you've accomplished with your own business, I'd love to just touch on the fact that you are technically still a part-time artist. Can you share the reasoning behind that? Because I know you actually have some nuanced opinions on like why you like doing a little bit of other things as well.
So I do work part-time as an admin assistant for a local small business near me. And I am still there mostly because I love the team there. They're the nicest people I think I've ever met in my life.
Love.
And it's just a really great environment. I like being able to not solely rely on my art because if I ever have a moment where I'm not very creative or I have a small sales month, like for instance, one time at an art market, I got put in a different place and it had very low foot traffic. And I'm used to getting like $900 at that art market. And then I got like
Right.
170 and I was like, oh no. So it takes a lot of pressure off of you to succeed in financially in all those other areas. And I remember and this part-time job is very supportive of me and my art too. So whenever I got that grant, I asked them to decrease my hours during that time. And they were like, oh yeah, whatever you need. People from that part-time job like even came to support me there. They bought some of my cards. And because they are a small business, what I find very interesting is being able to watch how they do business. Watch how because the person who is the managing owner, she inherited the business from her dad. And to watch her in business meetings is very inspiring to see how she conducts business, to see how she finds new leads. Like, because she has this whole system with going to like the library's website where all the businesses are registered and then you can find their emails. So she has a lot of insider knowledge about how to run a business that I find
Yeah.
very fascinating to watch. And so something that I really want to urge upcoming artists to do is to never take it as an L, as the kids say, to be working a part-time job because there's so much that you can learn from it. For one thing, you have to make sure it's the right one for you, of course, but to never make it like you're not succeeding as an artist because all that matters is that you're happy. Your work-life balance is what it
Yes.
is and that you're happy. So take pressure off yourself to succeed solely financially on your art and just have fun being an artist in the world. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I completely agree. I do think there's this weird like imposter syndrome if we're not a full-time artist, but I will speak for myself. I've kind of never been a full-time artist because I've also had the gallery, I've done coaching, I've done all these other things that bring me so much joy. But even when I was building those and I was doing more of my own artwork, I worked for other people, interior designers, other people that gave me insights into the industry. One, because I liked it. Two, it's a learning opportunity, like you said. And then three, I also like to get out of my house or out of my studio and
That's a
interact with
huge
the
thing
world.
too.
It takes some of the financial pressure off your business, which can be so great and invigorating when you don't feel creative. But at the same time, it makes you more creative, like getting out in the world and working now. I work from home and I have to remind myself to go leave the house. Like it just because I don't have to, you know? And so I think there's something there as well.
Yeah, for sure. I always say like one of my favorite things is just being able to, not because if my brain is lit to do this, it would be focused on my art business 110% of the time. And my fiance can attest to that. So just being able to go somewhere else and focus on something else for a little bit is a nice mental break, and I like that.
Definitely. Well, can you talk about a couple of successful moments you've had up to this point in your business that really stand out for you?
Okay, this is the point where I made a list because I wanted to make sure that I
Love.
could think of stuff. But the first thing I wrote down is my first 1,000 day at an art market. Making $1,000 in one day, that's one thing. Like you will get, sometimes I get my check from my part-time job, like you get paid from someone else sometimes, and it's like 2 weeks worth of work for what I double in one day at an art market. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like you can be successful as an artist financially and still be okay with like having another part-time job. I know that first time when I made $1,000 in one day, that was my wait. Can I actually be an artist moment? I was like,
Yeah.
can I actually do this thing? It was so cool because I'm like, imagine this every weekend, the month.
Yeah.
Monetizing my YouTube was another huge milestone for me. That was crazy when that happened. I was like, what's happening right now? I'm having notifications like every single second of the day. Every time I refresh, I have a new subscriber. I don't know what's going on.
Love that
So
for you.
I know that was another moment where I was like, whoa. The Made with Cola Love grant, which we've already talked about. My first international member of the Small Joys Club. That was something where I felt
Very
super
cool.
excited and proud of. So I got my first international member through my YouTube. It was someone who watched my videos. I have a link to join my Small Joys Club in all of my descriptions, and they just decided to join. And when I went to go mail it, I saw UK, and I was like, whoa, where's this going? And then I had to learn how to mail international letters, and that was fun. My first non-friend, non-family member to join the Small Joys Club. So most of the people that were joining at first are people that I already knew, that I already had a relationship with. They were either my friend, sister, that kind of thing.
Right.
One day I got a notification that a certain person had joined. Her name is Jody. She came to Love Notes a couple weeks ago, so thank you, Jody. When she joined, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first person who it's, I mean, not a pity buy, but that's what artists can think sometimes.
Well, it is hard when it's friends and family because you're like, are you all supporting me because you feel like you have to or because
I
you want
know.
to?
There's always that question in your mind, but whenever you get
Right.
the first non-friend, non-family member who invests in you, it feels like, ooh, I'm making it now.
Definitely.
So those are, oh, and the first passive joins of the Small Joys Club because I had always actively recruited, like I actively asked, and then I saw my effort translate to a member. And with my YouTube now, I'm getting people who join the Small Joys Club without me having to do anything. It's just people watch my video, I mentioned to join in the video, and then they join, and it's cool.
Very cool. And that's going to only continue to grow. And it's amazing. It's now you're in the snowball effect of like everything you do is going to keep going. And that's again why I love YouTube, why I love Pinterest, why I love like Substack blogs, like anything that has that SEO aspect because it can just live on for forever and keep
Yeah.
working for you. So absolutely love that. Switching to challenges, what are some things that have been a little bit more difficult for you getting where you are?
So, in the beginning of my journey, I would say especially is the I want it now syndrome
Yeah.
of what like seeing other people succeed, nothing working out for you just yet, and being able to persevere when you are not seeing any results. That's something that every single artist is going to go through, and people will try to make it mean something about themselves, like, oh, I must be a bad artist, or this would have happened by now. You'll scroll through Instagram and say, I just quit my job to be an artist, and I made it in 30 days, and this is so cool. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, I've been trying for 6 years, and so it's all of that beginning stuff of not letting things get to you, I would say. In the beginning of my journey, right after quitting my job, I did try to do full-time art for 6 months without any other supplemental income. And that was very scary for me for the reasons I already stated. Like if you would have like a bad sales day, now you're creating stuff not because you're excited and lit up with joy, but because you're scared. And
Right.
that's never going to, that's one, not going to make you feel good, but it's also not going to result in anything good. So that's another reason why the part-time job is like also something that I love because it releases any instinct of fear that I might have towards my career. But all of that beginning, the I want it now and the comparisons and trying to move through when you don't have results yet. So
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's relatable, but so nice to hear, especially like in those words, like the I want it now syndrome. I think we all have that. And the funny thing is, maybe not funny, maybe sad, is like even when you are that, like there's always going to be people who are looking up to where you are. And like, I feel like I still have the I want it now syndrome sometimes. Like,
oh
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, well, why am I not there yet? And I think that's what I have to remind myself is like one, focus on your own self and like, Haley,
Hmm.
look at how far you've come from where you thought you would be and like all of that. But I mean, I just think that's such a relatable phrase, like the way you put it
Hmm.
together, because I think all artists, like I hate to say it, but I think so many of us have that because of
Oh yeah.
social media. It seems like everyone makes it overnight because
That's
yeah,
cringy.
it's like we try to bring joy,
I
but
know
yeah, it's
exactly.
hard.
Yeah, and I would say I still have that. Like I'm talking with a lot of excitement about my YouTube blowing up and stuff,
Yeah.
but I had one video that got like 45,000 views, and then the next couple that I got like 1,000, got like one and a half, got like four, got like 300.
Yeah.
So it's after you get what you wanted, it's like trying to keep it too, that sometimes you can get in your own head about. It's like, oh, did I do it once and now it's gone away? Like you have to make sure that you don't let yourself feel like it's going away. Like natural ebbs and flows are part of business. That's something that new entrepreneurs might not know yet. And you can know that in your head, but you won't know it when you feel it. Whenever you show up to another job, you get the same exact paycheck every single bi-weekly. Every single paycheck's the same. It's always congruent to the time you put into it. But when you're an entrepreneur, it is not congruent to the time you're putting in. Sometimes you're putting in so many hours and getting almost nothing back. So it's really important to remember that whenever you're an entrepreneur, it will ebb and flow. And whenever you're in the ebb or the flow, it doesn't mean anything about you or that you're failing or that you're doing anything wrong. It's just part of this thing. It's what
Yeah,
you
and you
signed up
have to
for.
get used to that because it is an adjustment, especially for anyone that's had a salary job. Because I think something that we don't give ourselves enough credit for is even in a corporate job, let's say, like you have periods where you're most of the time grinding more, not working as hard, not as in the zone. And that can be from the work itself, it can be from our own mentality and brain. And like I know I definitely have periods where I'm really in it, periods where I'm just not. But the problem is with the salary job, you get that same paycheck every 2 weeks, no matter how hard you're working. And so there's just like this stability in that, obviously. But the disconnect for me is when you work for yourself, obviously, the more work you put in, like your business is going to grow, but it's not always right away. It's not like I worked so hard and at the end of the 2 weeks, I get a better check for it. It's like, well, I worked really hard and I might not see the repercussions for that for like a year. And so
Yeah.
it's just a different mindset and you have to really get used to it. And I don't mean this to like scare people. Obviously, there's so much benefit to it, but it's just a different mindset and it's a hard shift. And it's something we all have to kind of come to terms with if we want to work for ourselves.
Yeah, I'm also really into like manifestation personally, and there's a concept that says like the world, like the 3D that you see in front of you, always comes at a delay. You're always going to see your results happen later than you expect. It's not like you can just put in effort and then it's not transactional that way with entrepreneurship. And that's why it's always really important to always make work that you 100% believe in, because if you're doing it to get results and then the results don't happen, like now you just had a bad time for nothing. Like just have fun with it.
Exactly. No, and that's the perfect mindset. I feel like it's again, like I keep saying this, it's obvious, but it's not. Like we need to be reminded that at the end of the day, you get to be an artist. This is something enjoyable. And when it stops being fun or it stops being inspiring to you, something is disconnected. And I remind people of that because that's not to say it can't be hard. It can be hard, but if you're going through a period where you're like, I don't like this anymore, it's like, okay, well, do we want to get some part-time work to take some of the stress off?
Mhm.
Why aren't we feeling creative? Why do we not like it? Like, if we're going to work for ourselves, let's try to enjoy it. And so that's something I come
Exactly.
back to a lot too. Not saying it needs to be easy because there's going to be periods where work is work and it's hard, but it should
Mhm.
be enjoyable, at least majority of the time.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I know before I was an artist, I worked in corporate property management. Blah, we hate it. But like there were so many times I would be so freaking exhausted after work. I would be so tired. And my fiance would always be like, "Oh my gosh, you look so tired." Like I would be so tired, so drained, so upset. And now there are moments where I get very tired from my art stuff, but it's different. Like I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. It doesn't feel like I'm wasting away. It doesn't feel like I'm unfulfilled because the work
Yeah.
that I'm doing feels meaningful to me. And so when you're working as an artist, you always have to be making sure that you're hitting your meaningful mark. Like it can't just be, am I looking successful to other people? If I tell like my mom that I made like X amount at an art market, like that's cool, but does it mean something to you? What you got to work with at the end of the day. So,
Yeah, and I love that, like the idea of success. I always kind of come back to that, and it's what, and I'm sure we talked about this on our calls a long time ago too. It's like, what does your version of success look like? And yes, often like there is a financial aspect to that because we have to live and pay our bills. But beyond that, like, what do you actually want? Because I think so many times people are like equating their success with what they see other people doing. They're like, well, I want the sellout launch, or I want the, the viral video, the whatever, extensive follower count. And you're like, but do you want really? Do you want that? Like, do you actually care? Like, if you want to be, I don't know, a social media star and you want to be posting every day and you find joy in that, maybe that's aligned. If you don't, there's probably a lot of other ways, we can be happy. I talk to so many people and they're like, oh, I just want to like be at home with my family and like have more time. And, work is maybe taking up too much of my time. And I'm like, all right, well, let's have goals that align with that. I don't want to all of a sudden have you
Mhm.
working so hard, doing so many collection launches that you have no time again. So I'm very big on like find your core version of success and then figure out, all right, well, what does a day in my life look like when I reach that? And how can I start kind of inching my way towards that now?
Exactly. And I think that artists will start to figure that out as they start. You really can't let the success at the end of the road be what blinds you. You have to be like, what am I enjoying in what I'm doing? Because something that I have figured out over the last year is I would try a lot of stuff to get income. I would try teaching classes, I would try painting like canvases, I would try a lot of different income streams and products to try to make money from my artwork. And there are certain things income wise that I dislike doing. And so it's important to recognize when you dislike it because sometimes you'll be like, oh, other people are doing this. Like, for instance, for me, it's canvas painting. I've been like, oh, I should paint more canvases because you can sell them for more money because that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But I love being a watercolor artist. And recently I've like started to get into a new realm of what I can offer with watercolor. Another thing I love with watercolor is it stores flat. So I have a bunch of canvases around me right now and it's just like I hate being around all these huge canvases. So when I think about like what do I want my life to look like in 10 years, do I want canvases sitting around me or would I rather have a clean studio like that doesn't have any big canvases, just flat stored work and maybe I do illustration projects for other people. That's something that I'm considering more too because I recently got a commission request from a locally owned cafe near me who essentially I painted a bakery storefront just for my own fun. They saw that I had a print of it at an art market at this Love Notes pop up that I did. And she said, "Oh, can you do one for my bakery?" So I recently sent that project proposal over, and I'm like, "Wait, this is a good idea. I should." And another things I added in there is I do greeting card sets, and I said, "What if I even made the paintings for her, made them into greeting card sets, and now you can rebuy them for me all the time to sell at your store to give to employees for gifts." So, and that's what I'm starting to notice is one of my strengths. Is this like businessy mindset that maybe for traditional fine art painters might not come as natural, and that's why they sell like canvas paintings for thousands of dollars. But maybe like my version of success doesn't need to include that, and it can instead like be my natural strengths, like where I like to like think about all these things, you know? So maybe I'll start reaching out to other coffee shops and like, you know, offering them a package to make a bunch of paintings for their store. You know, that kind of, I think it'd be so cool. So that's another thing. I don't
No,
know.
I love that. One, you'll have success with that. I
Yeah.
feel certain. But also I love the way you thought like you came to that. Like a lot of the times success isn't always the most obvious option. Like obviously a lot of artists listening to this, if you're selling canvas paintings, like that's great. It is
Oh yeah.
wonderful. And you can sell them for more. But if you're in your position and you're like, I just don't really like it and I don't really have a place to store them, I don't want
Mhm.
them like around me everywhere. There's other ways. Like I like how you were like, well, what do I actually want? Let me stop looking at everyone else and is there a way to make my way make money? And I think if we can all have that mindset, and just being aware of like, okay, well, if I don't really want this, just because it's working for other artists, maybe there's a way I can reinvent the wheel. And that's just it. We're all creatives. Like we can be creative when it comes to the business side of things too. And I think if you have that mindset of like, okay, this is a fun creative project, you can have a lot more success with it. So I don't know. I find all of this amazing. The way you think about these things is great.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I think that to go back to the YouTube thing, if people are looking to get into YouTube, is to always start with your natural strengths, because that's kind of like a comment that I've gotten almost my entire life, is that the way I think about things is very like unique and that people don't hear things put the way that I put them
Yeah.
sometimes. And so whenever I make YouTube videos, I'm always trying to be like what unique strengths can you leverage for the platform? Like what do you have to offer as a person? Because ultimately when people watch you, they're going to be watching you for you. So it's important to make things that leverage your unique strengths kind of thing and that you're not trying to like copy what you see as, I mean, obviously like practice what you see as successful, but
Right.
always like look for a voice that's uniquely your own at the end of the day and always be aiming for that.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this has all been incredible. I feel like I probably need to talk to you about YouTube because I need to like really learn from your ways. But for today, can you leave our audience with an overarching lesson, tip, something that's really helped you personally, professionally, and kind of share that with, I don't know, with our audience to close us out?
Got it. So, one of my favorite quotes comes from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it's that your trajectory is far more important than your results. You should be way more concerned with where you're going than what's currently happening to you. And you can kind of imagine it like you're an archer with a bow and arrow. If you take your bow back and you pull the arrow back and you sling it at the target and it misses, are you going to be like, ah, dang, I'm a bad archer. I can't hit the center? Are you going to look at what you're doing and say, did I pull back too far? Did I not pull back enough? Is my string too tight? Is my arrow not have the right weights on it? You have to look at the target with the eye of someone who's going to make the center. And so instead of focusing on, I don't have any sales yet, you have to say, look at it with the eye of someone who's going to get the sales. So in my times when I was having a hard time, like not making sales, I would say, if I wanted to make $200 tomorrow, what would I do? What would I spend my time on? And a lot of that sometimes is things like, you know, posting on your Instagram story. Here's a pet portrait that I did. Is anyone interested in having a pet portrait? You know, it doesn't have to be pushy, but it can just be letting people know that you're there. And I think that's also a big thing is letting people know that you exist. Sometimes it's hard to say that you exist as an artist because you want the proof first. You want to be like, oh, I already made $500 last month. Come spend your money on me.
Right.
You have to show up as just as yourself, even with $0 sales. You just have to say, I'm an artist. Anyone interested? Question mark. So
I love it. Show up. Love that quote. Love that book. I love Atomic Habits. I've read it twice now. It like really has changed the game for me. So highly recommend. Can you share how people can learn more about you? Maybe like your website, your YouTube, anywhere else they can find you, the best way for them to learn more about all of your different offerings.
Oh, for sure. So I have a YouTube channel called Jen Carmiel. It's my name. And my most popular video we've talked about is called People Want to Buy Your Art, They Just Don't Know It Yet. So if you are wanting to know a little bit more about me, where I come from, I would recommend starting with that one video. I have a website called jencarmiel.com. So if you're interested in collecting work from me, definitely take a little gander. I have lots and lots of kitty prints. So if you have cat lovers in your life, book lovers, I have cats and books and prints. So come shop cute kitty prints. I also have greeting card packs on there too. So if you like to write letters, if you have pen pals, great option, Jen Carmiel greeting cards. And at long last, the Small Joys Club. I am trying to get to 200 members in my Small Joys Club. So if you want to receive a little letter from me every single month, I would absolutely love to have you in my Small Joys Club. You can go to my website, jencarmiel.com, click on Small Joys Club at the top, and then you choose your tier, short or full letter.
Love. Well, thank you for sharing all of this. I'll make sure to link it all in the show notes as well. But Jen, this has been amazing. You are so insightful, so interesting, and you do see so many things in such a unique way. So I was so glad I got to share that with my audience. I will definitely be going through some of the YouTube videos I have missed of yours, and I recommend everyone do that as well. Thank you so much for your time. It was so nice to catch up.
Yeah, I know. I always love your content. Whenever you come across my Instagram, I'm like, ah, yes, there she
Oh,
goes.
same. I love everything you're doing. I really, like, truly, I'm not like super into YouTube yet, but when I go on, I kind of like binge, and you are always there, and I love everything you're doing.
I
So,
love it.
really excited to kind of share this.